Welcome to the Dual Force, where mental...
This is a disclaimer. This podcast is here to educate, empower, and spark insight, but it's not a substitute for personalized medical or mental health care. Everyone's body and mind are different. If something resonated with you and you want individualized support, reach out to us or connect with a licensed provider you trust.
Yeah, so some signs and red flags could be, like we talked about, withdrawal, maybe some behavioral challenges that kids are having at school.
Oh yeah.
Or in the community even, and finding ways to help support that child if you're able to. You know, if you're a teacher at school, if you are a neighbor, if you are a family member, you know, really trying your best to address the situation, because if you see that a kid is acting out of the norm of what a child that age should be acting, then there's probably an issue going on, you know. And this is beyond the physical, you know, appearances of abuse, like bruises and stuff.
Absolutely, because I cannot remember her name right now, but she wrote What My Bones Know. I want to say it's like Christine wrote, but we'll put it in the show notes. And she talked about how, like, complex PTSD, which is come on with like repetitive situations that are causing trauma. Brief overview, right?
Yeah, perfect. You nailed it.
Yes. So one of the symptoms that you can have presents very similarly to like ADHD and other behavioral diagnoses that have become almost normalized in our society, but it's not the root cause of why that's presenting that way. But also I wanted to make a statement that these signs and red flags and all that stuff is not for you to diagnose what's happening, but for you to be aware that maybe this child needs a little bit more attention or supervision so that you can see patterns and take action if needed.
Yeah, you step in as a support, but you're not a professional support, you know. And for you to, you know, if this is happening and you need to maybe ask a professional or seek out a professional to see if they can step in as well, please do that as well. A lot of schools nowadays are equipped with mental health therapists or some sort of resource that can be connected with this child in particular. And a lot of people, unfortunately, are afraid of like child protective services. They are there for a reason. They're there. Their sole job is to protect children, you know, and to maybe, if it works out, rehab families if kids are separated, but their sole purpose is to protect the children.
Absolutely.
So, and we'll add that at the end of our note too as a resource.
We'll add all the resources to the show notes and with links and all the things. So
yeah, perfect.
You don't have to search for them; they'll be there.
We'll let us do the research for you. And if we forgot something, let us know too.
I think something else to look out for is if you notice a child is fearful of certain individuals. And this is kind of a weird analogy, but growing up, my family always adopted rescue dogs. And the last one we had to have been abused somehow. She was very fearful of men, all men. And so it's very, especially children, I feel like children and animals are very similar in the fact that they are not masking like we do as adults. Right. So you can pick up on those signs, especially if it's a change.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And look at their body language. You know, a kid is going to tell you so much through their body language. Or if you get down on the floor with them and play with that child, children's only language at these primitive ages between, you know, early childhood to, you know, 13-ish, they're gonna play. So you're gonna see a lot of what they've experienced through their eyes through play. You know, so if you're seeing a lot of, you guys are playing Barbies or cars and you're seeing cars being smashed across the room, or, you know, Barbies hitting each other, you might want to raise some eyebrow about that and maybe ask some questions.
Absolutely. And I can't remember specifically, kind of going back to like calling in or asking for help, most of the time you can be anonymous, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people also are fearful of like backlash from the families, and it's totally justifiable in our society to be fearful of that. So knowing that you can report and also ask to be anonymous.
Yep, you totally can. So the only reason they have the option for you to disclose your information is so that if they need to gather more information about what they've seen and experienced and why you're reporting this is why they would ask that information. So it's not to expose you as a reporter to the person who you're reporting on. It's to gather information so that the investigators going in to assess these situations can make sure they have everything they possibly need in order to make a decision that's going to best suit the kid.
Absolutely. We got to cross those T's and dot the I's.
Yep.
I almost flipped that.
It happens.
Yeah. So, and I think it's always better to over-report than under-report, because I fear that we're already severely under-reporting.
Yeah.
Patterns and things that we've noticed in other humans. I mean, it's these companies' sole job is to look into things and make sure, confirm whether it is abuse or if it is not.
Right.
And then create a plan that's going to protect the child.
Exactly. Yep. That again goes back to their only job is to protect the child. I don't think these caseworkers or investigators go into this work because they want kids to be removed from their families.
Right. Well, I mean, like the whole foster care system is to keep the kid, especially if their parents are still alive. Yeah. Keep the kid until their parent can be a suitable parent.
Right. It's the goal is to reunify those families, not to separate them. And that's another topic of discussion for later on, is like that sometimes can create more trauma if the parent that had the child removed from them is actually willing to be a better parent for their child and really try. And so what happens is, if a child is removed from a parent's home, a lot of the times the parents will have like a case plan if they're seen as suitable enough to make changes in order to be reunified back with their children. So as long as they meet their case plan, chances are they could probably work towards that reunification. So, just a little information so it doesn't always appear like, okay, that's it. Like if a kid is pulled away from their parents, they're never going back. That's not always the case.
Right. Only in severe situations. And I mean, we've always heard, I'm sure we've all heard stories of where kids have been reunited with their parents and things did not get better, which is, nobody's perfect. We are humans. Yeah. And we try the best that we can. But yeah, we want to keep families together. That's the most nurturing way to, that's childhood.
It is, yeah. And sometimes your biological families aren't going to be the people that nurture you as a child. And that's okay too. But a child needs someone who can provide that nurture for them. And
absolutely.
We don't want them to live in an environment that's so unsafe where, they're going to be scared for the rest of their life. We want them to be healthy kids and grow up into wonderful adults.
Yeah. Yes. But besides reporting, we want to make sure we're taking like documentation of like objective things that you've noticed that can be proven, so that in the event that you do have to report, you can provide that information.
Right. Yeah, and you can always reach out and ask questions about how to document specifics, or you have maybe documented something and you're just curious about how to move forward with it, or you need support in that too. I'm more than happy to help. I know Paige is obviously more than happy to help as well, as much as she possibly can. Yeah.
And I think always, like we brought up schools. Schools are mandatory reporters, as is everybody in healthcare. So you could always talk to anybody in that role, and they're going to be able to go through the proper channels. And that's like another way that you can seek help to make sure it's done correctly, and also kind of a way for you to be almost like a third party.
Yeah, definitely. And it's another safe adult in that kid's life.
Yes. We want to make sure we're supporting the child and providing a safe place for them.
Yep. That's our goal.
But with that, we don't want to make promises we can't keep.
That's true too. That is true too. Promise. Yeah, we don't want to do that to kids. And
It's
that's
so easy to do.
It is, and that's why having a community, of support is so important, because if I'm not able to do it, if you're not able to do it, we're going to find someone who can. We're going to find someone who can, be able to provide support in whichever realm that is for the situation.
Yeah. And we'll move on to supporting our survivors.
Yeah.
I think the biggest one here, and kind of a hot topic right now with recent news, is believe them.
Yeah, please believe your survivors, or any survivor that you come across. You don't have to understand their story.
No.
You don't have to understand what they're physically going through or what they're thinking, but believe them. And no one's going to make this up. No one's is going to be so proud to say that they've endured such pain and heartache.
Oh, 1000%. And I know we've seen movies and probably read books and seen news stories of people who have made that up, made up these stories. And I feel like most often than not, they probably have some condition that propels them to do things like that.
Right.
But that's such a small population.
Yeah.
We're allowing like one individual to ruin it for so many people who've been through terrible things.
Right. Yeah. And by believing our survivors, it's enabling them to share their stories and to connect with other survivors out there, and to know that sharing can be safe. They don't have to hold on to that baggage because they feel like no one else is going to believe them, or some people believe that their story doesn't want to be heard by other people.
Yep.
But it does. I enjoy connecting with other survivors and really hearing their story and how much they've overcome. That's beautiful.
Absolutely. And it's so hard in the moment when you're in an abusive situation to ask for help because of fear of somebody not believing you. So if we can make sure that we're creating safe spaces for somebody to come and disclose something that's very traumatizing to them,
right? And
you can then help them if they want it.
Yeah, definitely. I love it.
In addition to believing our survivors and their stories, we don't want to question why they didn't do certain things.
Yes, we don't. It's not every person is going to have the knowledge and the support, especially to leave the situation, to ask for help, to fight back, to do all the things that some people will question survivors of abuse.
Yeah.
It's none of your business. It is solely up to the survivor to decide what best works for their situation.
Yeah. Well, and we've heard the term trauma bonding. That too.
Yep.
It becomes normal and almost expected in those relationships. So that language and those questions are not helpful. It's more shameful. You're placing shame on somebody who's already been through so much.
Right. Who I can already promise you they're holding shame.
Oh,
and they're going to be holding shame for a really long time.
And I feel like being as a bystander too, you hold shame as well. And it's very uncomfortable. So then professional help is great for everybody involved.
Yes.
Not to bring light into this, but it's so true. I know personally, like I've been through some things. I've had professional help, but also being witness or a safe place for other people. When someone else is going through that, I feel like super empathic, and having had experience, that's a lot for me. And I feel shameful that maybe I didn't notice the signs and I didn't take action. I didn't check in enough. That's all shame I'm placing on myself. And those are times that I bring myself right back to therapy. Like, I need that support. They need that support. And being aware of that is so important.
Right. And your friend shouldn't be your therapist.
No.
That's not, you're crossing boundaries there, and it's okay to hear your friend's story, and if they're willing to share that with you and to hold space for them, but it's also okay to encourage them to go to therapy and to really dive deep into their experiences so that they can heal internally and know that, they don't have to carry the baggage around with them, that there is a professional willing and able to help them through that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And another part of language that I think it's important to point out too is they're survivors. They're not victims. We're not victim shaming. We're not, placing blame on victims. There are survivors and there are perpetrators. The person who should be blamed for all of this is the perpetrator. They've created, such a chaotic environment and world for this poor survivor who is now having to navigate life with all these different feelings and emotions and physical sensations that they didn't ask for.
Yep.
So
especially children.
Yep, especially children. And they don't have the language to share those emotional experiences with their trusted adults. Right. They hold that.
So utilizing professional help is important.
Yes.
And there are options. Yep. There's body-based healing, so that's like somatics that we talked about in a previous episode, and a lot of nervous system regulation. You have to find a new baseline. I feel personally my therapist has brought this up to me, and then I brought it up to a friend. It's funny how we surround ourselves with people who are like ourselves.
Yeah.
But talking about how they had this whole list of things that are super stressful and demanding, and you're like, no, I feel like everything's really good. I feel super relaxed. Maybe you feel that way, but it's because you've created that baseline for yourself. Yeah. And it could be so much better.
Yeah. We can recreate pathways for sure. We don't have to stay on this path that we've created because, and we've created it probably because of insecurity or because we're surviving. Yep. This is the best way to go down this path, but we can recreate those pathways, which I think we all should, whether you've been exposed to trauma or not. I think it's good.
Absolutely. And you're like recreating safety for yourself.
Yes. Control.
Yes. Control is a big one.
Yeah. So as part of Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month, a lot of individuals will wear blue on April 13th. Oh, I have to double check, but that is the official day. And so every year I buy the little garden pinwheels in blue, and I'll put them out in my garden, and that way, I'm showing support to the community, and if neighbors come by and ask about them, I can say, hey, this is about this, and spreading awareness through the community that's familiar to me outside of my work. Yeah. So, and then as a therapist, this is something that the beginning of April I'll introduce the idea of child abuse awareness and prevention, and how people can support within their communities as well. So it's important to be aware and to be knowledgeable and finding ways to support in your community as well.
Absolutely. Awareness is key. If we're aware, we're going to have more impact on changing trajectory of a child's life potentially. And not every child's going to go through this, but the ones that do, that's still too many.
That's way too many. Yeah, we need it to come down to every child is safe in their home.
Absolutely. And small actions matter. So no matter what you do, if you're trying to help, creating a safe space once in a while for somebody that you suspect is being abused, that's going to have a lasting impact, and it's going to be it'll be a core memory for those children.
Yes, it will. They will never forget you.
No.
They will never forget you. They'll grow up and continue to mention your name and say, there was this one lady who I met many, many years ago who came into my world when my world was dark, and she brought lightness into it.
So beautiful.
So, yeah.
Heavier topic this week.
It is.
But it's so important. We'll have all the resources below. Yes. And if you have any questions or need any support, please reach out to us.
Right. Yeah.
And talk to people in your community about childhood abuse and how to be aware of it and what actions to take. Yep. Share this episode with them, and let's just make some change this April.
Yeah. Your voice can be carried to many different places, and that could also be carried into saving a child's life too. So keep that in mind.
Thanks for tuning in to The Dual Force. Your mind and body are always in conversation, whether you notice it or not. start listening. And if today's episode sparked something in you, pass it along to someone who needs that reminder.